I took retribution when my parents compelled me to donate my $5,000 inheritance to my sister for her business, and she sent me launch party photos to stick it in my face. 2 months ago, I, 17F, had to transfer my grandmother's money to my older sister to fund her business goals. At 6 years older than me, my sister Connie has always bullied me because she has something against me for no reason. Actually, she bullies me because she can. As usual, she knows she will get away with it. Since childhood. My parents urged me not to make a huge deal, so if I complained about Connie's behavior, they said I was sensitive. Now I see my parents were gaslighting me into thinking this was standard conduct by older siblings, and I shouldn't be unhappy. You know, Connie was worse than other older siblings, since she didn't play around with me and did bad things to me. She often tried to put me down with nasty comments when we were young. Despite her making me weep, my parents told me to quiet up but never spoke to her. That was terrible, but it was verbal. But this 13-year-old episode made me know she didn't just despise me. Since she adored me, my family and I drove to the beach with Connie and 2 of her friends. She was 19 and had come back from college for the weekend, so she and her friends spent all their time together. Things were especially bad for me because her friends seemed to dislike me as much as she did. They must have had the same mental condition that made them detest people who had done nothing to them. Anyway, they continuously made fun of me, made cutting remarks, and laughed whenever I was there. I was tired of them, so I sat alone on the pier with my feet in the sea. Suddenly, a plastic bag was put over my head and someone booted me in the back, sending me into the water. It took me a few minutes to comprehend what was happening. As I splashed in the water, my sister and her pals ran away giggling. I'm a decent swimmer, so after I recovered from the shock, I grabbed the plastic bag off my head and swam back to shore as fast as I could. It was my worst experience, and when I returned home and cried, my sister and her friends tried to pass it off as a prank, but the worst was yet to come. My folks laughed and said I was exaggerating because I was always a crybaby. My dad even joked about all those swimming lessons paying off. The plastic bag over my head was small, and I could have asphyxiated and perished. I might have drowned if I hadn't woken up and removed the bag from my head. So many things could have gone wrong, but they laughed at it. I knew my parents had a favorite daughter, which wasn't me, but the experience stuck with me and made me decide. I wouldn't treat these folks as my family. My only goal was to study hard, get into college, then leave these folks since I couldn't trust them. Since then, I've kept my distance from Connie, but I live with my parents and can't treat them the same. Despite my reluctance, I had to give away the money I inherited 3 months ago because I had to be good to them. My dad's mother, my grandma, died a year ago, and we received the bequest 3 months ago. She left my parents her house and most of her money, while Connie and I received $5,000 apiece. I also received a sapphire ring she had, because I told her I liked it. And she joked about how I could have it after she died. I meant to save it for my future, but my parents told me Connie was beginning a business and needed all the money she could obtain. They were already aiding her and expected me to help. It seemed unfair because it was her business. Why should I contribute? Remember that she's always treated me cruelly, and now I'm supposed to help her. After 2 days of battling, my dad warned me that if I didn't help her, he wouldn't pay for my college tuition and wouldn't let me come home. I said yes because I was terrified and frustrated. The decision was undoubtedly bad, but I was under a lot of strain and didn't think it was worth battling with these guys because I had finals and had to study. I gave up my inheritance to silence my parents because I craved peace and quiet. They let me keep my ring. They probably didn't realize it was a sapphire as my grandmother simply listed it as the ring with the blue stone in the will. I understood what she was talking about and was smart enough to keep my mouth quiet since it was worth a lot, which was good for me. I gave up the $5,000 from my grandma to stop the argument. 3 months later, I got into my dream college. I start in 2 weeks. My parents are keeping their commitment to pay for all my expenditures, including tuition, because I'll be living out of state. I suppose giving up my $5,000 was a good investment because now I don't have to worry about money in college. Technically, everything is still going great for me, but I feel horrible about what I did because my sister threw a launch party a few days ago after opening her store. Her coworkers are her college friends. The girls who threw me into the sea with a plastic bag on my head thought it was funny. These 3 own a huge shoes and accessories company with simple items, but they think they created something new since they think their creations are cute. Do you have many customers that agree with them? So I know their pals will shop there. My sister may have had a wonderful career. She emailed me launch party images to rub it in my face, so I did something. After my parents left, they told me that the event was adults only, and they couldn't bring me because I was 17. It was nonsense. But I didn't want to go. However, the day after the party, Connie sent me a bunch of images and a text saying she wanted me to live through her fantastic party from yesterday. She then boasted that she needed my help. referring to the 5 grand I sacrificed for her. For some reason it got on my nerves, and when I saw this guy in the images, I went to my gallery and reinforced my worries. Since I was only in the background of a few shots, I couldn't tell if they were dating anymore, but even though he had grown out some stubble and gained weight, I could tell it was her high school ex-boyfriend. Simon, a 25-year-old, started dating her after she turned 18. He went to the same high school as us, naturally. He graduated before Connie. They became acquaintances online when she was 16. He literally asked her out on her 18th birthday, which I thought was creepy but Connie thought was romantic. Thankfully, my parents acted like normal people and told her they didn't like the idea of her going out with a creep who had been waiting for her to turn 18 in his 20s. They told her not to date him, but she continued to date him secretly. He worked for his dad's company after 8 months together. He was leaving to live with his uncle in Wyoming and work on the farm when his father caught him stealing from the firm, so they broke up. She was upset when our parents discovered that she was still with him because she had gone home to beg my dad to obtain a job here so he wouldn't have to do what his folks wanted and sent himself off to Wyoming and split up with her. My dad ignored her and made her block him everywhere and swear she would never speak to him again. Our house was turned upside down that day because Connie was begging our parents not to break up with him and promising them he would be better, while my dad was yelling at her for not listening to them and getting involved with this clearly bad guy, while my mother kept crying. I wasn't involved in anything that day and was advised to stay in my room, but I had heard his name being bandied around, so I stalked him on social media. When someone causes an uproar like that in your family, you don't forget their face. I promptly decided to strike back at Connie when I saw him in her images' backgrounds. Because Connie and my parents didn't consider me family, they were frank about the business. I knew that while my folks didn't need much convincing, her friends' parents hadn't been so easy. They were mostly convincing their parents to invest in the business because I think finding other investors would be difficult since they're all so stupid and incompetent, but I knew that her mother, a single parent, was the last person resisting this business plan. She wanted her daughter to find a job, work for a few years, gain experience, and then return to this to avoid a terrible investment situation, but Connie and her pals were eager to make this work. Connie complained about this woman a lot while she was at home, so they agreed to make do with the money they had for now, and let their third friend's mother invest if their business took off. That was the deal they made, so they had to make their first few months of business a huge success. They only had enough money for a few months, but they would need a second round unless they could do enough business to survive. However, a small-scale company plan like this would not break even so early, especially in the fashion market, which is difficult to enter. I realized this secret could give the last parent who was holding out one more reason to bail out of this bargain. Through a bogus account, I requested her to call me because I had significant news about her daughter's business. Since I wanted to stay anonymous, I had her call me on Facebook without giving her my number. She called me after 2 hours, perhaps because she wasn't sure if this was real, but curiosity got the better of her. I then informed her what I saw and who the guy in the photograph's backgrounds was. She didn't believe me at first, but I told her my job was to warn her. She might then decide whether to invest in this firm. I ended the call, sent her some old photos of Connie and Simon, and let her decide. Things have been intense since the day after I made that phone call, so she probably backed out and told her daughter to do the same. No one knows I was behind this, but Connie has been calling our parents to talk to the mother who left and encourage her to return. Her pals are also mad at her since they can't believe she didn't tell them about Simon's return and how she lied about his identity to hide it. And even our parents are pretty angry with her for this. To sum it up, she's screwed because literally everyone in her life is upset at her. And I really want to enjoy all of this, but for some reason I just can't bring myself to do that. I know this business was important to her, therefore I'm wondering whether I was too petty and did something wrong. A couple of hours ago I overheard our parents saying they were disappointed in her and considering leaving her business as investors because she had broken their trust. This was unexpected because they rarely get upset with her. It doesn't feel as fantastic as I expected. Because my sister bullied me as a kid, I try to encourage a possible investor to leave her firm. Update 1: I appreciate everyone who gave me advice on my post. I suppose you're right. I may have had too much conscience to enjoy this, but I'm doing the right thing by not talking about it. Because if my parents found out I did it, they would toss me out of the house. Since I turn 18 in 2 months, they can do it too. Since they pay for my tuition, I can't afford that. Since my post a week ago, Connie's situation has worsened, because the mother who backed out of the arrangement pushed her daughter to do the same, leaving the two of them. This other buddy is furious with her, and wants to split the business shares 60/40 since she no longer trusts Connie after she discovered his secret boyfriend stole from his father's firm. She told them about Simon, whom she met on a dating service 2 months earlier and has been with since. After her friend's mom told the truth, she tried to keep the narrative, but nobody believed her. She also claimed that someone had edited the images to make her look like a liar. She visits our parents practically daily, and they admonish her for what she did but are still helping her. The three of them meet with their lawyer every evening to try to save her business shares. If they can't resolve this problem fast, they may have to close, and I don't know how I'll feel about that, but I've decided to ignore it. The only upside is that nobody pays attention to me anymore because Connie is in trouble, so I can come and go as I like and do whatever I want. It is wonderful. It has taken the spotlight off of me, and when Connie visits, she ignores me since she's too occupied with her own situation, and my parents don't say anything. This has been a terrific way to spend my last 2 weeks at home before college. I don't have to explain what I do throughout the day, and I feel like I'll spend more time at my friends than at home if I don't return home for a few days. My parents and Connie won't notice. As I stated, this is the only positive outcome, and I hope they leave me alone until I'm ready for college. I also hope my parents won't change their mind about paying for my college. Something I hadn't considered before but realized while typing this post. If it occurs, I'll be crushed. But at least I'll know Connie has it worse. Update 2. Almost 2 weeks have passed since my original post, and nothing had happened to me until last week, so I no longer feel safe. I guess the woman I phoned gave in to pressure a couple of days ago and told Connie how she found out about this former connection, but she didn't tell her the whole truth. However, she told Connie that she had learned from an anonymous phone call and 2 images. Since nobody's stupid and everyone knows she didn't meet him on a dating service and the photographs were real, Connie no longer hides the fact that she knew and was with him and didn't end her relationship. She certainly thought of me immediately after discovering the anonymous phone call. She visited us yesterday, and I was downstairs because I was leaving to hang out with a friend. However, she stormed into the home and shoved me hard when she spotted me. My balance and temper slipped, and I shoved her back. She pulled my hair and screamed at me. She said she knew I made the phone call and would make sure I paid for it. I was terrified, but I couldn't express it since she might have discovered the truth, and I wanted to keep it a secret. I yelled at her and said it wasn't me and that I wouldn't know who to talk to, because I had only seen her friend's parents once, when they came over for lunch a couple of weeks before they opened the store. I lied through my teeth, but I attempted to sound sincere. Our parents intervened and broke us up after a few seconds of yelling. Connie stated she didn't believe a word I said and insisted that I let her and my parents look through my phone and laptop because she was sure I had ruined her business career. Knowing this was coming, I mentally prepared myself, yet I still pitched a fit because agreeing would sound suspicious. I had wiped all my devices free of any evidence that may identify me as the caller, so I was safe. Connie thought I called from my phone number, not a Facebook account I created to contact her friend's mom, and deleted it. Her initial guess was wrong, and she and my dad searched all my social media accounts but found nothing. When she found no proof that I had told her friends about her past with Simon, she freaked out and started ranting at me, stating that I had deleted all my gadgets on purpose and she knew it was me. Argued with her, stating she went insane because she was losing her business, but she shouldn't have taken it out on me. She started crying after things calmed down. I thought I was safe, but then my parents told me that they couldn't prove I leaked this information, but they believed Connie because she seemed pretty sure of it, and there was no one else who could have known. They saw Simon at the party but didn't recognize him, so it couldn't have been them. That leaves just me because Connie sent those images with Simon in the backdrop to annoy me, and I might have retaliated. It happened just as I feared. Even without proof, they said they knew it was me and were canceling their college funding plan. Now I was alone, and they didn't want any more disputes. Since I wasn't Connie, nobody cared when I screamed and cried. After 30 minutes of begging, shouting, and crying and no answer from them, I walked back to my room and started writing this update to distract myself. I could sell my grandmother's sapphire ring, but I'm not sure it would last 3 years of college. It's just a couple of weeks till the payment deadline, so I'm considering taking out a student loan and asking a family member to co-sign. I can't risk anything. I may be able to cover the first semester by selling the ring, but I'll have to find something else out. Update 3. A lot has happened since my last update. I've been silent for a month, so let me tell you what occurred. I left my parents' house a few days after my last post because they weren't paying for my college education, so I had no need to stay or talk to them. I packed my bags and moved in with a friend. After discussing matters with her, she invited me to live with her and her family. After living with her for a few days, she and her parents told me she wanted to work at her dad's business and didn't want to go to college. Her parents had a college fund for her, so I could utilize it for now. I tried to decline, but her parents had known me for a long time and stated it was like sending their own daughter to college. I couldn't refuse an offer like that, so I took it, and even though I'm sure they don't expect me to pay them back, I will. I'm on campus without selling my Grandmother's ring. I appreciate my pal and her folks. Connie did poorly since she sold all her business shares, and her buddies now own it. She had to leave because nobody trusted her anymore, and my parents couldn't do anything about it because it was out of their control. She may be disappointed because this was her idea, but I don't think the store will succeed anyway, so she should be relieved. I don't talk to him anymore, so it's not my business. Now I'll focus on my future.